Hi, my name is Joel Martin. I'm a business intelligence analyst, and today I'll be talking about unleashing the potential of your business, business insight for everyone. My presentation today will talk about the use of business intelligence based on the research that we've done at Infotech and ongoing conversations with vendors, partners, and customers. In my presentation today, I'm going to talk about what is business intelligence and how is it being used by organizations currently today, and where do we see, based on our research, it going in the future. I'll provide a 5-step process in this short webinar about how our research and my conversations with customers, partners, and vendors show that successful BI implementations can actually be deployed to meet the needs of your customers and the individuals within your organization. It's very important to realize that given the amount of investment that's been made in business intelligence over the past 2 decades, that we're really looking at a point where we're moving beyond just BI as a reporting tool. And I caution companies that are looking at business intelligence to don't be caught by just thinking of business intelligence as a better way to drive truth when it comes to reporting. It is very important to have a consolidated data set that looks at information, that allows business managers in their regular meetings to come to the same conclusion about the state of the business, its sales, its performance today. But more importantly, where we're going now is using business as a planning tool. We want to get past just reporting and look at what's happened to the business, but as businesses move back into a growth period, where can we go that allows us to compete more effectively, drive better return on investment for our own use as well as for our customers. We want to focus on how BI helps us address market trends, customer needs, product planning, and production planning. Executing on these will drive productivity and the efficiencies that we really hope to see from business intelligence as it transcends and pulls information from our business processes. Step 1, as with any kind of BI implementation, as with current implementations you're trying to mature, sustain, and drive forward, you need to deliver growth by understanding where does the data reside within your organization. Data repositories, databases, data warehouses. Where is that core components of data that are essential to the type of business that you're in, that handle or house all the historics and that core information that your business really exists on. Collaborative sites. Over the last decade, besides business intelligence, we've seen significant investments in tools like Microsoft SharePoint, which provide collaborative bases for people to go work together, and share information across teams. What information is these that are in these collaborative sites that can be then pulled out and delivered to individuals? The applications themselves, from customer relationship management to your financial and accounting applications to your distribution and your supplier applications. Where does information traverse the company in a very dynamic sense? How do you capture that information as it's moving so that you can make just-in-time decisions, not, oh gee, I wish I would have done that in the past. Finally, productivity tools. What information lies on the desktop in terms of email, office applications like Microsoft Excel? How do you get access to that information? How do you manage and secure that information so you're providing the most up-to-date and useful information at a user level? And then finally, don't forget your people. What people have hidden away in their gray matter is incredibly important. They know the business process. They know how your customers think. You need to capture that in ways that flow into the data, leverage the business processes, and help your company execute. This is all the information. This is the data. Now we need to turn into knowledge. Step 2. Once you've identified where the information resides, how do you then ensure that you're putting that in context of what the business is already doing? A common misconception is business intelligence pulls information from across the business into a silo that's then reported out. This is the wrong way to approach BI because it creates a very limited island. We need business intelligence these days to live in that social aspect of information that's transcending from one side the customer ecosystem to the other side the partner ecosystem, so that it's living within the organization, so it's capturing real-time information and putting it in context for the job that people are doing on a day-to-day nature, and in the long term, tactical, practical, and strategic view of where the company needs to do and what they need to be doing tomorrow. It's very critical, and only by using BI in context of the current business processes will you achieve the long-term ROI of business intelligence. Step 3, don't try to boil the ocean. You must prioritize and you must plan in order of importance. Many times business intelligence reaches a successful phase 1 implementation. You're pulling reporting from all the different repositories that I talked about before, and you're delivering reports to executives and team leaders about how they should be allocating resources, driving sales, engaging with their partner and customer communities. We need to move past that. We need to sit down with each individual business leader. We need to get them on board with what business intelligence can do as far as moving to that next big step, which is really empowering their individuals to use the information at hand to go forward. We also need to get their feedback on what people use that we're already providing versus what they're using on their own. What systems have they created within their own teams or even at their own individual level to execute. Leverage these best practices, document them, because they'll probably be able to be used in other parts of the organization. Step 3, don't boil the ocean. Companies are very complex. Business users are very complex. People have their own agenda. Departments have their own agenda. I think it's very critical, and it's borne out by some of the discussions I've had with some end users over the past couple of years. The most successful BI implementations have started by winnowing down how can an individual department deploy a solution that meets the needs of its individual users and their jobs. This is really critical by really segmenting what are the mandatory features needed by operations versus finance versus, say, manufacturing. Targeting those features at an individual level. This is critical here. You're looking at really not a one-to-many model, but a many-to-one. The many being all this data and information coming from multiple sites, multiple people within the organization, and coming down to that one individual, whether they're on the shop floor or they're sitting in a corner office, being able to execute on that based on the features they need as an individual. And then finally, the niche features. The feedback loops start kicking in here. How do you monitor how information is being used within your organization to drive the outcomes that you desire? Turning insight into action is step 4. It's really building on that last piece. How do people use those little nuggets of information to drive the most value in the organization? We found that organizations with a high fit for BI had several key factors. One, they analyzed and followed the demographic indicators of BI fit. How were people using this? Where was it being applied? How was information being delivered to someone versus someone having to go look for information on a regular basis? As we all know through our daily lives, the more concise and easier it is to understand information that's delivered to us, the more likely we're actually going to act on it versus us having to take time out of our daily routines to go find those extra nuggets that potentially can add a lot of long-term strategic value, which are very important, but it's really getting down to that actionable and practical components. The readiness indicators really comes down to training and building people. And I'm going to talk about that in my next slide, but it's really important here to start talking about how IT is readying the users with tools that they find useful and intuitive to use on their daily basis. Step 5, engage your users. It's critical for you to make sure that your users are using the tools that you've provided. It's very important that you've provided not only the training to get them up to speed initially, but that you have IT and business staff that are engaged, that are monitoring what's going on, that are looking for ways to improve it. It's also important to note that BI is not a do-it-yourself task necessarily. It's very complex. Sometimes it's very nice to have a partner come in with outside experience, leveraging best practices that they've learned from implementing tools for other companies. They won't understand your business process as well as potentially you do, but they will understand the technology, and hopefully based on their experience, they'll be able to help you execute it in a very seamless fashion. Leverage the functionality of BI based on how your users need to use it. It's very nice to have a billion different features in business intelligence, but typically people winnow down to looking at things that make the most sense to them at a given time. Looking initially at reports, what's going on, but then being able to turn those reports into action. What do I see happening with my customers in my marketplace, with my competitors that allow me to move forward? Then it's important for the IT departments to continue to monitor this. Cleansing this data, taking feedback loops, helping to improve the data, how it's stored and how it's applied will be really critical. This is done through continuous feedback loops with end users, all the way back to looking how databases are changing, how people are reorganizing the data within the systems. In summary, plan the work and work the plan, regardless of where you are in your BI implementation. It's critical to take a phased approach to BI. Understand where the data resides, understand how the organization is using it, and then isolate which parts of the organization are best fit to use it today, whether that's a technology, human resource, or a combination thereof. Identify where you can get the business support and do a phased approach so that you can build on your successes. Leverage the business and their insight. Find out how people are using information and making decisions today. Yes, a lot of people make gut decisions. Why do they do that? typically, people that make good gut decisions actually have a lot of information behind that decision in one form or another. A lot of times that information is currently living outside of the data systems, but it's living within the business process and the customer ecosystem feedbacks. How do you tie into that? What's going on there? And then finally, allocate staff. It's very important in the context of tying, the gathering of insight and turning it into knowledge, that you have people dedicated on the business side and the IT side to look at that information, to analyze what's going on, and then provide their own guidance on how it can be improved. And with that, I'd like to close my presentation. Thank you very much. Have a great day.